call the meeting of the Davenport Housing Commission together.
I'll do a roll call. Joyce Miller,
Here.
Yolanda Roberts,
Here.
And Gary Susich.
Here.
And I'm Matt Wissingham here, so we have a quorum. So, our first order of business is minutes from the October meeting. Does anyone have any corrections or questions of the minutes? If not, I'll ask someone to motion for an approval of them.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes from the October meeting. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Hearing none, that passes. Now we'll go on to the financial reports for October. Again, I'll ask for any questions or concerns, or Destiny, do you have any input on anything?
Last meeting, the question was asked about the Heritage fire that we had and the 50-some thousand dollars that was paid out that you had seen on the council. So I did get an answer from our risk department, and she said we pay that out, but then the insurance company reimburses us all but $1,000. So that's the answer.
It's like a deductible then?
Yeah, yep. So we didn't actually have to pay that out of pocket in the end. We got reimbursed from our insurance company. That's what we have insurance for. So that never hit any of the budget in the long run. We didn't pay for it.
So is that $1,000 each occurrence of a claim, or do we have like, where you?
I honestly don't know. I don't handle the insurance side of things, so I don't.
Hopefully you don't need it, but I know sometimes you have to meet a higher.
Yeah, that'd be a question for our risk department. I'm not sure.
Well, it's just hopefully avoid any claims.
Yeah,
so.
definitely. Yeah.
No more.
And then it would be up to the insurance company to decide if they were gonna go after the person that caused the fire or not. So it's out of our hands.
Since that person was
It was caused.
found responsible, right?
Right. I'll just point out the negative for October public housing, payroll employee benefits. They just true up that account periodically. I think usually they try and do it quarterly. So it looks like more was charged to it than necessary, and that's what creates a negative for the month of October. So. Otherwise, if there's anything that jumps out at you guys, I'm trying to explain it. Otherwise, I don't really know of anything going on.
And I don't know how that time cycle works with the council. I know after the first of the year, they start doing budget hearings and stuff. When do you have to put in requests, I guess you might call it, to?
We already did.
Oh, you already?
Yep, in the
That's what I was-
fall. In the fall is when we put in our budget numbers for the next
And
fiscal year.
finance department kind of looks it all over and decides what to present to.
Right. Yeah. And ours is pretty steady every year because, I mean, it's just a federally, we only have federal funds. We don't have any general funds or anything like that. So our money is pretty constant. Doesn't ever really change. Unfortunately, we don't get like a big increase. I mean, we did have extra subsidy come in for the Heritage because they did the rent study and found that our rents were too low. But other than that, we usually don't see an increase of revenue.
All right. If there's no other questions on the financial report, I'll ask for a motion to accept the financial report for October.
I make a motion that we accept the October 2019 financial reports.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to accept the financial reports for October. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Hearing none, move on to the occupancy report.
The 2 units in public housing have been vacant for some time. We had a tenant that was going to move into West 7th, and she decided she did not want to move. So after we were hoping that unit was just going to be filled right away, it ended up not being. So now we went to the waiting list and had to get somebody approved. So we do have somebody moving in the first week of December to both of these units. The West 58th, is our handicap accessible unit, and that lady was already being assisted in a subsidized place, so she had to give a 30-day notice. So they're both going to be, they will both be filled the first week of December. Heritage, we are seeing a lot of turnover right now. We've had some people go to nursing homes, some tenants pass away.
We had somebody pass away over the weekend.
We did?
Steve Fructose.
I didn't know he passed away, but we were aware that he was in the he's been in the hospital for a couple weeks.
Oh, okay. I
So,
just happened to know the guy and I heard about it.
really?
Yesterday.
Okay. Well, I don't know if we heard about that. I'll have to let staff know, because we knew that he wasn't doing well and he's been in the hospital for a few weeks. That's too bad.
That's why I hadn't seen the church.
Yeah, that's sad. He is a nice guy. So, unfortunately, we have a lot of vacancies. Just all of a sudden, a lot of medical stuff going on. We have had a few people move out. One person moved to Muscatine, came to the top of the waiting list for their public housing. He had family in Muscatine, so he chose to move there. A couple people didn't give reasons. More nursing home passing away type stuff we're dealing with, unfortunately. We only have one contractor that turns over units, and they're doing the best they can to get them turned over. We did have the supplier that they get carpet from had ran out of carpet. That was backlogged for a little bit. So actually a couple of our units are just waiting on carpet, and it comes in the 23rd. We had 2 units that were waiting on countertops, which countertops isn't usually something that we have to replace, but unfortunately we had 2 that had major burns on them, and so that backlogged us a little bit because they had to custom order them. And then they came in and they were incorrect and they had to be ordered again. So doing the best we can to get people in them, but we do have 2 people moving in the beginning of December, for sure. But then it's just a matter of, we don't usually pull this many people from the waiting list to have them ready to move in when a unit's ready. So unfortunately, it's just going to take some time for Kelly to pull people from the waiting list and get them approved and get these units turned over, ready for occupancy again.
So when you have to replace the countertops, let's say the tenant goes to a nursing home, are they charged?
If it's their negligence, which I mean more than likely it is, yeah. It's a chargeback.
That's probably not cheap, I would, especially if it's has to be custom.
I know the one I know the one came through already was $600.
Do they usually pay it?
All we can do is bill them for it, and if they ever want to come back to live in the Heritage again, then we make them pay for it before they can move back in. So anyways, that's public housing and the Heritage. That's kind of where we're sitting with those 2 buildings right now, or programs. And then Section 8, we are finally getting some people leased up, so our numbers went up 10 vouchers, which is great. Still gonna fall short of where we would like to be, but we're doing our best to get them leased up, and we're still continuing to pull from our waiting list and get people housed.
Something, I'll wait till discussion to ask you about that.
Oh, you can ask. If it's regarding that, you can ask now, because this is the last item on our agenda.
Okay, I know you've sent out since the last meeting a couple of, one thing you forwarded, and then some information on the changes we made especially the bigger landlords aren't able to, they won't accept the rate.
Right.
And so we had talked about that, and I was wondering, I know I mentioned it just in passing that day that Joyce and I were down at the office about getting one of the staff who works with that to come in and go over the numbers with us so we aren't disenfranchising people.
Okay. And I can see if there's somebody willing to come to our next meeting. I mean, I hear the same thing, it's just that our rents are too low. And we, have to hope that the landlords are willing to lower their prices a little bit to make it work, or they have to find something else that's affordable with our payment standards. I know I had mentioned at previous meeting that we have tenants that apply for housing at these different places, and they're paying upwards of $40 for an application fee
Right.
just to be turned down because the payment standard doesn't work, or their rent doesn't work with our payment standard. So we are seeing that happen. We actually had a gentleman come in that helps a couple people from New Choices, and that was his complaint, was that they're paying these application fees and then not being able to live in those units. So we are hearing some of that from tenants.
Don't they know what they're eligible for before going?
Yeah, but I don't know the circumstances around this gentleman that came in for sure, as far as who he was dealing with. Some of these places you apply, like Easy Street is one of our big ones. You apply for housing through them, and then you're not applying for like this particular unit. You're applying for them in general, and then they have 10 vacant units or something. So I don't know that they're always applying for the particular unit, or they're just applying with that landlord rather than a unit.
Right, but I'm saying the tenants, don't they know what they get prior to, so when they do apply, I'm sure if they're applying on a website or something, it shows this is how much this unit is,
Yeah,
this is
and-
how much that I'm getting, so.
But it's rent plus utilities, so they may not know what their utilities are going to cost. They may know what the rent is, but until someone runs the numbers for them to tell them what the utilities are, or if the landlord has to tell them that they're responsible for what certain utilities, they may not know that ahead of time when they apply for housing. They could call us and find out if they were worried about it, but 9 times out of 10 tenants don't call us to find out for sure before they apply for housing. They just think that if they have $800 to work with and rent is $700, they think it's going to work. They don't think about utilities, and a house, example, can be upwards of $200 or more for utilities. They don't take that into consideration. Because our payment standards are rent plus utilities. Not everybody understands that.
But they're told that when you go through the process.
Yeah. But for instance, this New Choices person, I don't know if he was the one in the appointment with the tenants when they were told this, because those types of agencies don't always send the same people for different appointments and such. There may be one person trying to help them find housing and another person that came to their appointment, so they may not understand the program either. I don't know for sure. That's just a situation that could happen. So I can definitely have someone, one of our housing coordinators, come and kind of talk about the difficulties they're hearing or the problems that they're having.
Seeing that to be an ongoing, I know I first heard about it when I came down to sign papers from a couple of months ago.
Mhm.
Stephanie had expressed concern.
Right. And I think you talked to Amy when you were
Just
down.
real brief
Yeah.
update that Joyce and I were down.
Yep, I can ask one of them to come to the next meeting.
Joyce, how'd you enjoy the tour seeing the?
Oh, I loved it. Give me a little bit better idea sometimes when Destiny's talking about things. I thought, okay, that's what it's all about then.
Yeah, it was a cool, Yolanda, we did a tour of a couple of, one of the apartments at Heritage, and then the empty one up on Seventh, which chance to go to. It was a pretty cool day.
It had just snowed.
Yes,
Oh, my
and I
gosh.
said, I was reminiscing about when you and I were on the roof of the
Yeah.
Heritage. It was a real nice day.
It was
and
beautiful.
You get this beautiful view.
Yeah.
I said, boy, how times change in the Midwest. So.
Yeah. Welcome to Iowa.
Yeah, I think it was. So, anyway, well, if there's no other questions or concern there, I'll ask for acceptance or a motion to accept the occupancy report for October.
I'll make a motion to accept the occupancy report.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the occupancy report for October. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Hearing none, that passes. Does anyone have anything for the discussion agenda?
Were we ever gonna discuss when we were supposed to be moving these meetings to, or we have to wait for more people to be here?
We can discuss it. I don't know that there's really anything, anywhere to move them to. I think I sent you guys, I gave them to you guys, and then I think I emailed them.
We have to next month.
Next month, we just have to move to police department and not here, but the, time and date is staying the same, the
Right.
third Monday, 4 PM. That's staying the same, we'll just be over at the police department because they're redoing all of this here. But as far as, time and date going forward, I don't know if you guys have had a chance to look at the calendars at all. The only thing I could come up with is moving it earlier in the day on some of these different days, but I think some of you guys work. I don't know for sure how well that would go over. I don't know. I guess it's up to you guys what you got. I don't know. Mario hasn't been here for a few months, so I'm not sure what his schedule's like.
Well, I'm flexible on it for any time, so.
Same here.
It's four, I'll make whatever works, but how about you, Yolanda? Is four better?
As opposed to earlier?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, me
that's
too.
fine. Yeah.
That's for me too.
Yeah.
4 o'clock works.
Yeah, and looking
Even
at,
though my daughter gets out of school at 4, but I usually make arrangements better than early.
and the only other, I mean, I don't think we wanna do it on a Friday. If you guys do, we certainly could, but I don't think a Friday's a good day, cause people usually go out of town and stuff, different things going on Fridays. And we can't go earlier in the month, because that's the whole point of moving it, is to later. I mean, I just don't foresee there being another time that works, because everything's in the council chambers now, so there's just not a lot of open space.
Well, let's stick for this, at least for the time being, the third, is this the third Monday?
Yep.
Third
Yep.
Monday at 4. And, see how that works this week.
Yeah, I mean, and really, it's just the financial statements, you know, if we have to double up some months, that I don't foresee that being a big problem, or, you know, you guys can always approve what's in front of you. It may not be the final numbers for the month, but you're approving what's being given to you this day. So, you know, if you guys wanna request that I bring a different financial statement to you the next month, I mean, I could always do that. It's totally up to you guys what you guys want me to do, how you guys wanna handle that, but, that's the only issue that we're having right now, is just with the financial statements not always being done.
When is it that they're usually done then?
Usually between I wanna say like the 10th and 15th, that's the way it was when I worked in there. I haven't checked with them. I worked back in finance 6-7 years ago now, so it's been a while, so it may be different now. When I worked there, it was usually between the 10th and the 15th of the month that they were done with them.
Okay.
But right this time of the year, well, they may be getting done now, but the auditors have been there last few months, so that takes them a little bit longer then, because they're working with the auditors. So, it may just always be around this time of the year that we have to wait, I'm not sure. But like I said, I mean, you're approving what's in front of you, you're not approving numbers that aren't there. So that's up to you guys, how you guys wanna handle it. I don't have a problem with moving it to the next meeting if we wanna do that too, that's fine. You know, when, on those months that the financials aren't completed, that's fine. Whatever works best for you guys. I am flexible.
So it looks like next month, the 3rd is the 18th.
December
16th. 16th.
Which is a Monday, not a Sunday.
Yes, I know. Sorry.
No problem.
So the 16th, 4 p.m. at the police department. And that's, I know you guys have been to those meetings, but Joyce, just when you walk in, it's right on the left-hand side. Okay.
I'll be there tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
Hopefully it's a,
Visitor. Not a resident.
Okay, well, if there's no other items on discussion, we'll see everybody next month. Have a happy Thanksgiving.
Do we
And
need
I'll
a-
ask for acceptance or a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.